West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
It's a Friday morning, everyone. I fought the law and the law won. 710 KNUS Denver's talk station on a Friday morning, July the 11th, 2025. And I have in studio with me, we have been together, man and boy, and worked many, many jobs together. And the lovely and talented Mike Boyle. And let's do this. Let's plunk the magic twanger and go to the Blake Olson Report.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
There he is.
Hey, good morning. Two of the most interesting guys in Denver in the studio right now.
The two of you.
He set the bar low. I don't know. You've set it pretty high as well, Mike.
We talked about it yesterday. Tom Martino was with me yesterday morning on doing the split screen, and he has 50 years in radio. I just passed 51 years in radio. How long have you been on the job?
34 on August 1st.
And Blake, how long have you been on the job?
Probably, let's see, about 35 in broadcasting, yeah.
I got sent to me yesterday, KOA is having a 100th birthday. And I got my invitation.
And they said, who's been there for most of it? They called you up.
Well, I told everybody I bored off for Marconi, but
that's awesome.
No, it's great.
Did they only play Italian music, that format, or what did Marconi play?
He took some calls.
It was all talk.
He took calls. We had a delay, and Marconi was, he was working hard, and
that's awesome.
Every once in a while, somebody slipped one through, but no, Marconi. He was easy to work
Italian
with.
restaurants with Mike.
Yeah, we talked Italian restaurants with Marconi, where the best bread in town was. We were good together.
First restaurant I ever ate at when I moved to Denver in '77 was Pagliacci's.
Ooh.
Remember Pagliacci's?
I think I do.
They did a nice job. It was over there. It was over just to the west of I-25. It was in kind of that North Denver Italian district over there.
Oh, man.
Very good. Yep, that was my first place.
Blake, when you were born here, weren't you, Blake?
Yep.
So
Steamboat.
you were. That's what
1966, Steamboat, Colorado.
So you remember Daddy-O, Jimmy Walker?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Longmont, and I loved that format. And you couldn't get R&B and urban contemporary anywhere in Denver. In the 70s, 80s, 90s, well 90s, then it crossed over, but KDKO 1510 was awesome.
Do you remember
it? It was great.
I don't know that I remember that.
I remember when I got here, Kim was very big, Steve Keeney. Matter of fact, I gave Steve Keeney's son his first job at my restaurant.
Wow.
Yeah, back at the old Hatch Cover.
Well, Daddy-O is going to be on with us. He's just got out of the hospital, and Jimmy's not a kid anymore. And I want to get him on. But he sold that stick. He sold that station for all the money. What's behind the curtain in a new car? What did that station become?
That's a good question.
It was really
Spanish station.
No.
Oldies?
Remember Alice?
KWBZ?
No, it became Ralph. Became that talker that they put on.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because
Alice was big at the time, so they came with Ralph and Alice.
Right, like the Cramdens, but it was inside. If you didn't get it, you didn't get it. But I know that Jimmy, they bought it from Jimmy, and they tanked it. I remember they just took it and it was a loss of money. And I think, a matter of fact, I know it was Phil Anschutz's son-in-law. That ran that radio station.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it was a Barker. Well, that's the business, It's like, hey, run the course. First place you worked, Blake. First call letters you worked.
KLMO.
In Longmont.
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 Yeah.
First place
Like kind of volunteer.
KDEN.
KDEN.
Yeah. Well, I was flying back to Toronto in 1991 for the baseball All-Star game, and I'm sitting with Woody Page and I are flying together.
Yeah.
We're both going to the game, and Woody says, when are we going to get a restaurant show done by somebody that's been in the business rather than somebody that positions themselves as a pundit?
Right.
He says, I think you do a great job. And so I said, well, I don't know anybody in the radio business. And he says, I'll take care of that. We go and we have a wonderful weekend. We're sharing some drinks. Funny story, when we arrive, he doesn't have any identification. We're in a foreign country, neither here nor there. But anyway, so we get back. Yeah. Of course, this is 1991.
Sure.
But this, matter of fact, the immigration lady, he says, he holds up his lanyard. He says, well, I'm Woody Page with the Denver Post. And she said, well, that's fine, but do you have a passport? And he says, no. And so she says, well, how about a driver's license? And he says, well, I had it suspended for whatever.
Did.
Yeah,
he did.
And she says, okay, well, do you have a photo ID? And he says, no, but I'm Woody Page with the Denver Post. And she says, do you have any way, you are entering a foreign country, do you have any way, Mr. Page, to identify yourself? And he looks at me and I said, that's Woody Page with the Denver Post. She rolls her eyes and says, welcome to Canada, Mr. Page. So anyway, I get back and I get a call from John McGinnis. And he says, Woody tells me.
One of the greats.
One of the great guys. And he says, meet me for lunch at the Old La Peeps by across from Tamarack Square. I show him a one sheet with about 10 bullets. He says, this is more work than I get from people looking for a show. He sasays, can you start this Saturday?
Yep.
August 1st, 1991. And I've been on every Saturday since.
I loved McGinnis. I used to go have lunch with him. Told great storyteller. It was just really a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful operator.
But isn't that a typical Woody Page story?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw him on Thanksgiving. I saw Woody on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
His first
If he would have worked for the Rocky Mountain News, do you think they would have let him in the first time?
Well, when he came to town, and we kind of came into the business together at the same time. I'm working. My first call letters were Cat Radio, KAAT, 50,000 watt daytimer, and on the floor below the Playboy Club, and that was the first place I had a job. That's where I met Gus Marcus. And Ed Green. Ed Green was there, and we and Woody and I and Woody started writing those columns that nobody had ever seen the likes of before. And remember, he took on. He didn't write the glowing. He wasn't a hometown. He wasn't a homer. He wrote stuff.
Yeah.
And man, and Woodrow just. And
I think you got to put Woody Page with Jim Murray.
Oh yeah.
Of the other time, I mean, I think Woody writes as well and is edgy and is anybody I've ever seen.
That's what it took.
Yeah.
And he would remember he would put bags on his head and stuff. Take his picture. No, Woodrow was. Yeah, we had a time. And
when I got inducted into the Colorado Restaurant Hall of Fame, down at the Ritz, big deal, black tie. I called up Woody and I said, I need you to do my intro, because the intros are typically, he loves his kids and he's in the Chamber of Commerce, that type of stuff. I said, Woody, he said, I don't do that stuff. I said, you're doing it for me. And he said, okay. He showed up, loafers, no socks, and had him rolling in the aisle.
Oh, I did it for Barry Fay.
Okay.
And so you can, when they did Faye, they said, Faye said, would you talk me in? And I said, you want the truth or what do you want me to do? I said,
change the names.
Oh, yeah, if I'd have told the truth, they'd have thrown you out. They wouldn't. So, awesome. Blake, anyhow, there we are.
Anywho.
Yeah, is there any news?
That's awesome. Oh, yeah. Why are you here, Blake? Stories, but I'll tell you those later.
You want the news?
Yeah, beautiful morning. Then you can get on with.
Well, you got to hear these stories. I mean, it was like he started telling me, because I always thought about riding a motorcycle to where? How far did you go?
6,645 miles.
And, no, wait a minute.
People say, well, wait a minute, the Alcan's only 1,500. Well, folks, you got to get there.
I've thought so many times, guys actually ride motorcycles, and they ride to as I don't know, how far north can you go?
Well, you can go all the way up into the Arctic Circle, up into Barrow and so forth, but it stops at Fairbanks.
Wait till you hear these stories,
but
Blake.
that's I mean, we're far enough north that the sun goes down at midnight, and it comes up about 2:33 in the morning.
Yeah.
I used to know that.
Yeah, I just lived it.
Wow, I can't wait to hear that.
All right, here we go. Blake,
All right.
what you got the
It's
news.
going to be one of his best. TGIF 63 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 90 today. This portion of the news sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, DJT and First Lady Melania visiting Kerrville, Texas today to look at the damage caused by last week's floods. The White House says the president will meet with first responders, receive a brief from local officials, and meet with some of the family members affected by the tragedy. A Colorado nurse named Sarah, who's a registered ER nurse, she posted her hatred for MAGA and said she may bring that to work one day when she should be saving lives.
I just thought of a way to combine my MAGA hating and my work in the ER. MAGA supporters are like people who hold on to fireworks too long. You love it until it hurts you. Kind of like, how you love it until you can't retire until the age of 70. So see it in the ER, folks, when your fingers get blown off. Oh, have a good day.
Oh, wow. I have no idea what hospital she works at. I can't find her platform now. She has over 2,500 followers at Rocky Mountain Sarah, RKYMTN Sarah. But that's a little scary. Russell Vogt, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, accused Jerome Powell, too late Powell, of lying to Congress over a planned $2.5 billion planned renovation of the Fed's D.C. headquarters. 47's order restricting birthright citizenship is being put on hold nationwide. A federal judge also granted class action status in the case after the Supreme Court limited the ability of judges to block orders nationwide through other means. 5 state Democrat legislators suing Florida after they were denied access to the migrant detention facility dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. They say Governor Ron DeSantis and the director of the Department of Emergency Management overstepped their authority in denying access to the detention center. The state is inviting lawmakers for a tour tomorrow. And I'm with author cartoonist Scott Adams on this one, on the Epstein story, I think. I told Pete about this earlier. Here's Scott Adams.
If you trust Trump, you have to also trust him to lie to you when it's in your best interest. I know. It's uncomfortable. But how many of you know that there's something called the CIA? Have you heard of it? If you know that there's a CIA and you have not been railing to completely eliminate them from our system, then you've already bought into the idea that your government can lie to you. So don't act like you're all above it.
Hey, brings up a good point there. YouTube updating its monetization policy to crack down on inauthentic content, aiming to limit earnings from mass-produced or repetitive videos created with AI. The platform now emphasizes that only original material qualifies for ad revenue. Rockies at the Reds tonight. First pitch, 5:10, 59 in Golden, 61 in Parker, and 63 in Denver. Pete is in for Jeff and Billy. It's TGIF Friday time. He continues with Mike. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your KNUS forecast for the Denver metro area calls for temperatures to be a little cooler than average today into Saturday. Thanks to a cold front that's moved through the region, we'll be enjoying highs mid-80s today and tomorrow, lows upper 50s. There will be some scattered heavy showers and thunderstorms to dodge this afternoon, again Saturday afternoon. Dry and heating up Sunday, low to mid-90s. Weather presented by Colorado's Best Roofing. Has hail damaged your home or business? Colorado's Best Roofing offers expert hail damage assessments and assistance with insurance claims. Schedule your free inspection at roofingcolorado.com. Visit roofingcolorado.com today. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
It is the Mike and Peter Show. Good morning, everyone. Peter Boyles and Mike Boyle, 710 KNUS, Denver's talk station on a Friday. And it's going to be 86 for the high today and got some rain coming this afternoon. So Mike and I have been best friends and worked together for, I don't even want to count the years. I mean, we worked together.
Probably going on 45.
Probably.
Yeah.
51
There's
years.
There's a few gaps in there.
That's right. When one of us got fired or the other one got fired. But Mike, of course, as the show here on the weekends does a couple of days, and you quit being a food show a long time ago. You started all this other stuff. And that you take a road trip to Alaska. So we're standing out in the hallway, and I'm overhearing these stories that you're telling, and I'm thinking, why won't you come? I said, why would you please come in and talk on the radio show about your road trip to Alaska? First of all, what's wrong with you that you're going to take a road trip to Alaska?
Pete, you go to your grave not regretting what you've done, but regretting what you haven't done.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
That's true with women.
Yeah, you know what? It doesn't it's called, the official name is the Alaska Highway. I didn't realize Alaska Canadian Highway, but it's it's the Alcan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had heard about it for years. I've hunted Alaska, I've fished Alaska, I've taken groups on the cruise, and we've done the land package, and I've hunted up in BC, British Columbia, and I just always heard about it, and it's an interesting story, you know. The Japanese invaded.
Second World War. That's right.
You bet. Japanese, December 7th. Then on the 8th, Guam, Wake Island, the
Aleutians.
Philippines. Yeah. They're going to come onto mainland through the Aleutians.
They were.
And they wound up doing that in June of 42. But in early 42, January, Roosevelt says, we need to be able to supply those troops up there.
Yep.
So they started in March of 42 and built a 1,700-mile dirt road to Dawson Creek, British Columbia, which is going through Alaska, through the Yukon, through British Columbia. Dawson Creek is on the edge of Alberta. They did it in 7 months, 11,000 Army personnel, 34% of which were black. They sent black engineers up there. And back in the day, you know, our military didn't desegregate until 48 under Truman.
Truman.
You're a history buff, you know that. Yeah. So anyway, the white guys got the bulldozers and the black guys got the shovels. And they completed it in 7 months. Can you imagine building a highway in March in the winter?
Wow.
Along the Alcan Highway. So anyway, you know, 30 years ago, I'm going to do it on a motorcycle. 20 years ago, I'm going to do it in a convertible. Well, I'm about to go to my grave, hopefully it's not imminent, without having done it. So I was talking to my daughter, and she said, Dad, you've talked about this for a long. Why don't you do it? So I said to the Mexican street dog, Bailey, sitting here at my feet, you know him, I said, you want to drive the Alcan? He didn't say no, Pete. But, you know, Pete, when I'm telling you, it starts at Dawson Creek, British Columbia, and I didn't really think about it.
Well, how long does it take to get from Denver to the beginning of the highway?
It's 1,600 miles.
That's what I thought.
It would be the equivalent, because I wake up the morning, I'm leaving, and I'm saying, what the hell am I thinking about? It would be like running the Denver Marathon and deciding to run from my house in Castle Rock to City Park to get started.
Warm up, sure.
Yeah, to warm up. And so...
I think we used to drink like that.
And so, yeah. So I'll give it to you. Castle Rock, Dawson Creek, Alaska.
Well, how long did it take to get to Dawson Creek?
3 days.
You and the dog?
Yeah.
What were you driving?
I'm driving an Acura. I got my Acura MDX.
Okay.
And it's not enough. I had the windshield repaired yesterday. I'm getting new struts put in next week.
Beat it up.
But Pete, here's the way I said. If you grabbed your grandkids and you said, let's go from Denver to New York, and I'm going to show you a Broadway play. I'm going to show you the Statue of Liberty. And then you got there and you said, well, this was kind of fun, but let's do something really fun. Let's go from New York to Orlando to Disney World. And then they say, Poppy, or whatever they call you, Grandpa, you know, we'd like to go to the beach. So you go from Orlando to San Diego to the beach. And then you said, well, I'd like to have a little fun, so let's go Denver, Vegas, see a show, Vegas, Denver. You would have driven Denver, New York, Orlando, San Diego, Vegas, Denver. You would have driven less miles than me and Bailey drove on the Alcan trip. 6,645 miles.
I was listening to tell these stories. Mike Boyle's here, Peter Boyle, 710 KNUS. Brother Jeff coming up, Dr. Daddio coming up. So, again, you know, like I used to talk to guys about motorcycling. Oh, we'll get these adventure bikes, and did you see motorcyclists on the highway?
Very few. I was surprised, to be perfectly honest with you, because, you know, you try to do, you know, it's hard to meet people that have done the Alcan. Now, since I mentioned it on the air, people have started to tell me about it. I had one listener call and said, I did it in 1969. Woohoo! I wanted to think about that. So anyway, there weren't very many. I'm looking up information. It says, the Alcan is paved, 2-lane, beautiful highway. Beautiful my ass. I mean, it's like saying the road. What's the biggest enjoyable part of the years you go to Sturgis? Getting out of the roads of Colorado.
Yes.
That's the biggest enjoyable thing of the whole
Cross into Nebraska or Wyoming.
Yeah.
South Dak, roads are light years better.
Yeah. So, paved all the way? I don't think so. And so, you know, I saw some motorcycle. There would be dirt patches because there's not a lot of vehicles on the Alcan. But the trucks, you think about it. I mean, it's got to be trucks to supply stuff, and they've got those 32-tire trucks, you know, the big boy. So when one of them passes you in the dirt, you literally, it's a whiteout with dust. Yeah. You stop and you just hope that there's anybody around you. I mean, there's plenty of dirt. So I saw in the course of 1,500 miles over, 1,500 miles back, I'll bet you I didn't see 24 motorcycles. Okay. Right. I did see 4 cyclists, four individuals by themselves riding their bike. Got their backpack on and everything else.
There's so many stories about that highway, and many stories about the train that runs, and that the train just stops and people get off and walk into the wilderness. That's where they live.
Well, that's in Alaska. That's coming down from Fairbanks to Anchorage. And people will stand out on the track and wave, and the train will stop
and
pick
them up.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you once you were on the highway?
I did it too fast because... Well, but I'll tell you something, Pete. You know, we car camped, so you wake up and you wash your face.
I heard you say there wasn't that many motels.
Well, there aren't any. There's many. There's none.
None.
There's a lodge at a place called Muncho Lake, which, you know, people from Dawson Creek in Alberta, they'll drive up there. You know, and that's a day and a half drive, and they'll stay there, and it's on a lake, stuff like that. But they would have some of these almost remember barracks when we were in the Army. Sure. Okay, well, these would be like a modular, 1-story, and they'd get 3 of them together and turn them perpendicular. So it would be a long. And there'd be little cubbies in there, just like a cubby on a first-class airplane ticket. Man. And you could have one of those, no bathroom or anything. I mean, you could walk down the hall to the bathroom.
How much?
$250. It takes a lot to make Peter Boyle speechless.
Well, no,
I'm telling you what, everything is very expensive.
In the summer. Because they ain't there in the winter.
Well, I was going to say that, but they got 10 months of winter.
Oh yeah,
and so they got to make it. You bet.
That's Sturgis.
That's exactly right.
No, that's Sturgis. You know, things suddenly.
But what it does to your eating, sleeping, pooping.
Where did you
Sorry,
eat?
folks. Stage. I mean, because you're eating rhubarb pie at midnight.
Well, I mean, where did you eat? How did you? Between there were. I'm going to ask the question. Restaurants? Question mark. That's what I thought.
Yeah. There would be a gas station. Look, when you want to go visit Grandma in Indianapolis. You get on I-70, drive down the road. Oh, we need some gas. Pull over and get gas. Yeah. And there's probably a convenience store, and you go get your ding dong and you use the bathroom.
Right.
Well, that's not quite the Alcan. All right. So there'll be a gas tank above ground.
Okay.
Because they probably can't put it in the ground because of permafrost.
And it'll freeze,
and there'll be one pump, and there'll be a little dirt strip there. And you pull up, and you hope that your credit card works. And there might be a store. There might be a store there that will have some trinkets and trash and maybe a couple local artisan things. And so you go in, and I mean, I literally, Pete, ate
I was going to ask you.
Junk food.
Because you really understand food. You're.
And I took a cooler. I mean, I've never eaten so much Skinny Pop popcorn because I just had a big bags from Costco, and I'd just be nibbling going down the road.
What about the mutt?
Well, I took his food as well. I had food, and as long as you got treats and some jerky for him and stuff like that,
he's good.
Yeah, and so
what was the best meal you had the whole time you were out there?
Oh, we had a great McDonald's in Fort
Did
Nelson.
You?
So I drive. You drive and you get to Dawson Creek. If anybody's gone to my website, MikeBoyle.com, they can see the blog and the pictures, and it says, you're starting on the Alcan Highway. So I took a picture with me and the dog. I leave Dawson Creek. Dawson Creek's got 12,000 people. They got a Walmart. How primitive can it be if it's got a Walmart?
You got Wally World.
Exactly.
You can go.
So I take off, and it's a nice road. And I drive to Taylor, and it's a nice road. And then I drive to Fort St. John, and it's got 25,000 people, and it's got a Walmart. And I'm saying, what's the big deal about the Alcan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's only 300 miles of the 1,500 miles. Then you start getting into Fort Nelson and Summit Lake and no traffic light. And people say, well, were you afraid of getting lost? Get lost. It's one road. I mean,
you can't go anywhere.
You can't go anywhere. It's not like you turn off here. And there were fires. It's their wildfire season. Let me give you this story. The biggest wildfire in Colorado history. We know about the Hayman. But last year was the Platte Canyon fire.
Right.
208,000 acres. Okay, that's a big fire.
That's big.
208,000. They announced when I was stopped because the road was closed one day for fire, 2.2 million acres burning on the Alcan.
Did you listen to radio?
No, there's no radio.
Yeah.
No.
So you were.
So I would pull into a place in Fort Nelson, and they tell me the road's closed. So there might be. What would happen, Pete, is that you'd go hours and hours and hours and hours, miles and miles and miles, with no cell phone, no radio, no nothing.
Not seeing anybody.
No, but then you'd get close to like a Muncho Lake or Toad River. They got some cool names out there, and then you could get a little bit of a signal for a couple miles this side and a couple miles that side. So, but nobody knows anything.
What did you do? Did you have CDs? Did you do?
I took some CDs, yeah, but to be perfectly honest with you, Pete, I think you'll appreciate this. You're kind of a loner. We love our kids, we love our families and stuff, but it was kind of nice to have the quiet.
Oh,
the scenery. I mean, the scenery. Oh my God, the mountains.
I have a really nice sound system on my trike, and every once in a while, shut it off.
Yeah.
And listen to the motor and listen to the comm.
Listen, I was a runner for 100 years, and a lot of people, want the earbuds.
Headsets,
I say, I want to hear my body. I want to feel my body. You know what I mean?
There's something to that.
Yeah.
When you're out on the highway with a whole bunch of other guys and just shut everything down and listen.
Yeah. And you know what? The animals. The animals were spectacular.
They're yelling at me to break.
I'm rambling. Sorry.
No, you sit here. We'll pick it up on the other side. One of my true favorites, Mike Boyle, the road trip to Alaska. Coming up, Brother Jeff and then Dr. Daddio. Back tomorrow at 9 o'clock, by the way, and wraps up the week. 86 will be the high, 85 on Saturday. I'm Peter Boyles. This is 710 KNUS. It is a Friday, 710 KNUS, Denver's Talk Station. Peter Boyles, Mike Boyle together. And on Monday, the guys come back. I'm on the air again tomorrow, Saturday morning show. And we're talking about doing an all open lines Saturday because we've been jammed up with guests. There's so much going on in the world. And we thought we would maybe pull open lines. We'll see what happens. Mike Boyle did this road trip to Alaska. And I'm overhearing him out sitting in there's a room out here that's got computers and guys hang out, and it's close to the boss's office, and you're in there and telling these stories. I said, "Why to tell those on the air?" And so some of them we can't tell on the air. Some of them we're talking about just working radio. And I mentioned this earlier that KOA is having its 100th birthday party. That's amazing.
It is.
The great line through all of it was Martino's. And Martino yesterday, well, you worked with Martino.
Yeah.
You know Martino. And I said, are you going to go, Tom? He said, only if they have metal detectors. Oh, gosh. So that should be a night to remember.
Should be a fun time for you guys.
Think about it. How many radio stations in Denver have you worked at?
Well, KDEN, KHOW, and then I've been at KNUS now for 29 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I started in 96. Jim Bryan was the PD, the program director, and he said, would you move over to KNUS? And I went from I became a brokered show. I'm a contract show. I buy my time, as you know, and I like it because that fits into my entrepreneurial, and Pete, to be perfectly honest with you, I think it gives the show a credibility because I don't have the station telling me this restaurant just made a big buy. You're going to talk nice about them, So anyway,
have you ever been put in that position?
You bet.
Yeah.
A guy that we both know, David Barenfeld.
King Kong Kirby, man.
Yeah, there was a restaurant chain that I think it's best to remain anonymous, bought a big buy, and somehow along the line I either didn't know it or wasn't paying attention, and I had happened to eat at it, and I went on and I said, I don't know how anybody can choke that stuff down. And I was standing in front of Barenfeld's desk, and he said, yeah.
King Kong Kirby, man.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
The Kong is I think he's in Hawaii now.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
And every once in a while he'll pop up. He'll send me a text message.
Send me a
something.
call. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, but there's so many great stories about David. And I started calling him King Kong. Was where I jacketed him, and we were sitting talking off air about people we worked for and people we worked with, and this business is just attracts it. Yeah. So here you are in Alaska with a dog in a car.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, there's a bunch of questions here. Ask Mike how many EV charging stations he saw on the Alcan.
You know what? That's funny because you don't see any of those.
No.
But there might be all of a sudden in Whitehorse, for example, or the Yukon.
Yep.
I mean, that's a town. And by the way, I would tell anybody that does the Alaska cruise. I've taken a group on the Alaska cruise. Seattle or Vancouver, you go to Ketchikan, you go to Juneau.
Yep.
When you get to Skagway, you do need to do the Skagway White Horse Pass Railroad to Skagway. It is fabulous.
Done it.
And so I'm in Whitehorse, and I go down and I see the train from that side rather than from the ocean side. And but there would be an EV charging station there, but I don't think I want to be on the. It's hard enough being on the Alcan with gas because there was one time I was driving. I don't know why I'm driving at midnight. I don't drive at midnight. I'm not awake at midnight, and it's light.
Yeah,
and so I see a gas tank, and you're kind of, it's everything you read about the Alcan, top off.
Yeah.
All right, so I pull
you
up
see
to this,
gas by gas.
Yeah, so I see this tank, and there's a dirt, it's like there's nothing anywhere. And it won't take my credit card. Well, I know that I've got enough gas to get to where I need to get to, where there will be a wider spot in the road. And so, anyway, a car pulls in, and this is unusual because you just don't see people. And two guys are over there, and they're kind of stretching, getting out of the car. And I said, I'm having trouble with my credit card here. And so one guy walks over. It's a 30, 40-yard walk. He walks over, won't take it. So he takes out his credit card. He says, it won't take mine either. He walks over to his car, gets one of the jerry cans, 5.3 liters, 5.3 gallons, and comes over and just pours it into my car.
Oh, man.
And I said, well, how am I going to pay you? I want to give you some money, whatever. And he said, no, that's how people do it up here. What do you think are the chances of that happening in Colorado?
Not anymore.
No. It maybe 40 years ago when we were
up
around.
in the mountains someplace.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So anyway, and some of the stories, though, I happened to, I stayed in a hotel, a Super 8 in Fort Nelson. So I'm 300 miles in. It's the last hotel. That's where I had that wonderful McDonald's meal. And my last restaurant meal until I got, so anyway, I get talking to this lady and her husband. They're from Alaska, Anchorage, Wasilla, right outside of Anchorage. They've been working in North Dakota for a year, and they're on their way back. She tells me about working on the pipeline. And, I mean...
Big time.
Yeah. Alaska, where men are men and women win the Iditarod. You know what I mean? They're tough up there. Yeah. And she tells me that when she was working on the pipeline, she tells me about how she had to layer up. And the mosquitoes are so prevalent and so big that she said she wore like one of those beekeeper things.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
She said if you had skin exposed the size of a quarter,
they'd get it.
Yeah. She said you could, and so can you imagine working in?
Well, those are the pictures you see the World War II guys.
Yeah,
and they're
that's the Alcan. You bet
they look like they're beekeepers.
Yeah, we had something like 50, 75, 100 soldiers die building the Alcan.
Sure.
And they it was like the Golden Spike. Remember the train going east, going west, and they met in Utah.
Right.
Well, it's the same way. There's a place. They came out of Fairbanks. They came out of Dawson Creek. And they found each other somehow, and no GPS back then. And so it's called Contact Creek, and that's where they met. And there's an iconic...
there's Promontory Point where where they meet.
Yeah, and there's an iconic picture that if people look it up of a black GI shaking hands with a white GI. One came from Dawson Creek, one came from Fairbanks, and you know what? We're talking 2025. This is 1942. Sure. Yeah. It was an iconic picture of a black soldier shaking hands with a white shoulder.
When they built the train across America, and they called it, I don't know if you've ever heard this, whiskey and rice.
I did not hear that.
Rice from the West, the Chinese
Those
laborers.
are the Asians, yeah.
Irish coming from the East, whiskey.
I'd never heard that.
And so the theory was always known as whiskey and rice built the railroad.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can go to places. You can go to places in California where the train ran, and there will be a Chinese cemetery.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's just, it's like a field, and there's a wood fence and some wood crosses, and
they used them dynamiters. All the insanity. But meanwhile, they did that highway, and that's a real great story.
When they got it finished and they wanted to see if they could transport goods, a couple GIs, probably in a deuce and a half, you and I have had the pleasure, loaded up a deuce and a half, and they drove the entire 1,500-mile Alcan. They averaged 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
710 KNUS, the road trip to Alaska. Mike Boyle, Peter Boyles. You're on the air tomorrow and Sunday. Plug the show. So
Saturday 3 to 5, Sunday 10 to noon. It's Friday at 8 o'clock. I'm going to get working on show prep as soon as I'm done here.
That's the secret.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing? What are you doing this weekend on the show?
Well, actually, Actually, Pete, I don't know. I'm going to be taking some calls because you know what happened was that I didn't schedule a couple of appearances because I wasn't exactly sure how long the trip would take, when I would get back.
How long did it take?
It took over 2 weeks. And to be honest with you, it should have taken 3.
You pushed it?
Yeah. And it took me a couple weeks to kind of recover. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so I'm going to.
Do I?
I'm going to be in studio. And now when you get back from Sturgis, does it take you a day or two to, I mean, you've made it for 40, 50 years, so does it take you a day or two to get organized?
Oh, anymore? Mike.
2 days.
Mike.
Week and a half.
A month. No, I'm 81. You know, I mean, you know, you start making motorcycle rides, especially with young guys.
Yeah.
I was with all the young guys last night, and they
want to push it.
Oh, they want to flame.
Yeah.
And I used to do that, and it's not fun. I mean, it's great. I mean, going across Wyoming, if you didn't get a speeding ticket, you were not really trying. I mean,
yeah. Oh, I was so proud of myself. 2 countries, 4 states, 2 provinces, and no speeding
Did you see
ticket.
the Mounties?
I saw them, at the border.
Right.
But it's funny because when you go into Canada, I get a kick out of this. Sir, do you have any weapons?
Because I'm going to bring that up. We'll do that when we come back from the break.
Canada. Well, you're going to love this story.
Hey, wait a minute. Let me look across at Adam. Adam, break now? Yeah, he's. Hold on to that, because we got weapon stories too. The one and only Mike Boyle, 710 KNUS. Brother Jeff coming up, and then a real tribute. Dr. Daddio, Jimmy Walker's on the show. 710 KNUS. It's a Friday. Stay here. Coming up on time, 7:10 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles. Friday morning, the 11th of July. Brother Jeff coming up, but in studio. You know, I have this theory, and I've always thought about last days in this business, which I tried once and it didn't work. But the off air is the on air, and the on air is the off air, and then we head for the door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've told that story. Now it's time to leave. We're talking about weapons and gun. I was in a gun store in Alaska, and you're similar, if you would.
Well, yes. First of all, I have guns. I carry. I have a concealed. Sure. I've hunted. You know what? Matter of fact, I hunted grizzly in British Columbia back in late 80s, early 90s. And so I find myself wondering, because they're very anti-gun. So, I've got my passport, I've got my driver's license. I call up the insurance people. Do I need a Canadian waiver? What do you need? I don't know. So I don't want to drive all the way to the border and then be turned around.
Did you take your handgun with you on the trip?
No. So I cross over into Canada. And the Border Patrol, it's a lady. And, I mean, she looks like she just as soon hit me in the head.
Oh, yeah.
And so anyway, she says, do you have any firearms? No, ma'am. Do you have any mace?
Jeez.
Do you have any pepper spray?
Wow.
Do you have a taser? Do you have, no,
a slingshot?
No, ma'am.
Right,
and she says, do you have any form of personal protection? And I said, if I get mugged up here, what do I do? Hit him with a pillow?
Yeah.
And she kind of, she didn't think
Didn't think it was funny. Yeah.
No. And I said, no. And she says, welcome to Canada. So I go on in. It's funny because up there, their NPR is called CBC.
Sure.
Canadian Broadcasting Company. And it comes from, whenever I could get a radio in Calgary or Edmonton, it's tariffs, taxes, and Trump. Okay, that's what they talk about. But they are having a rash of stabbings. And there is a legislator that wants to propose
guns,
regulating knives. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. And regulating knives, well, people don't need a gigantic kitchen knife, and they don't need, Woody Hayes used to say, statistics don't mean much to the guy that drowns in 3 inches of water. And so, you know what? You don't need a kitchen knife. You don't need a skinning knife for hunting. I mean, a knife this big, that'll do some serious damage to you. But they're that fussy about it.
When I went into a gun shop in Fairbanks, I think, and I remember asking the guy.
Well, there's gun shops in Alaska. They're like convenience stores,
and like 7-Elevens. And there's no small calibers.
Yeah,
you can't get a 38. You can't get a 9mm.
Yeah,
you can get a 44 mag.
I hunted moose up in Alaska, and the guy carried a 44 mag, and we fired it. I mean, that'll put a hole in you. You could throw a calf through.
Throw your arm back.
Yeah,
but the point of it is they know.
They talk about 44 mag head because people aren't used to it. Fires up and it bangs them in the forehead.
Of course.
Yeah,
you have to step aside. But they see guns totally different. Mm-hmm. Than down in the lower where they say
Alaska. If you go to Alaska and you don't have a gun, they give you one.
Well, that was always there was a Johnny Rodriguez, the famous Johnny Rodriguez, riding my thumb to Mexico. Uh-huh. Me and Bob Lee do an interview with Johnny, and he was the one that Johnny, as the story goes, Johnny Cash, he was stealing goats, and Johnny Cash heard him sing in jail. The sheriff brought him over, and David Allan Coe has that great line, long before Rodriguez stole the goats. So Bob and I were sitting talking to him, and I said, we're talking about those Tex-Mex border bars. Mm-hmm. And I said, what was the toughest bar you ever worked in, John? He said, I walked in, he said, the owner said, John, you got a gun? He said, no. You guys said, well, you better take this one. Johnny Rodriguez. This was a great hour, really flew. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow, what time?
3 to 5, Sunday 10 to noon. And folks, tune in. I guarantee you we'll rock your world to be determined. TBD.
Mike Boyle, everyone, on the
Thanks,
road trip
Petey.
to it. Thank you. And now, Brother Jeff comes up, and we're going to talk on a bunch of different things. And Jeff, and go back and ask him about the cover-ups and the stuff that's going on with Epstein. And then the one, the only, Dr. Daddio, who was he's a part of the Denver radio legend or legends that really doesn't get the full attention that he certainly deserves. So 86 will be the high today, 85 on Saturday. Hold on, everyone. 710 KNUS. I'm back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.